Hey guys, welcome back to another unit build video. This time we'll be looking to the newly released unit, Micaiah, and the best builds you can have on her. One of these builds will focus on taking down the cavalry meta, and the other will focus on her exceptional ability of being a magic tank. So starting off with her stat distribution, we can see she's running with an excellent neutral base attack of 35 but has relatively low speed to couple with that. With a neutral speed of 28, she's among the slower end of infantry mage units alongside Julie and female Robin. However, she makes up for that with a really high base resistance of 35, making her a very strong magic tank with high attack. Finally, her defense is pretty low at 18 and her HP is at a respectable 35. So before I continue, I just want to say that her base kit was so solid against the horse meta that her base kit alone could almost be a complete anti-cavalry, anti-armor build with very few inherited skills needed. So for this video, I'm going to skip this unit review and go straight into her first set, since they use almost all the same skill from her default kit, in which I'll explain. So to begin, we'll start by looking into her cheapest set that requires the least amount of skill inheritance, but still very strong right out the box. Her anti-armor and anti-cavalry set, which uses most of the skills she gets from her original kit, allows you to check basically all the meta range cavalry units in the game right now, mainly speaking of Reinhardt and Brave Berlin. So a weapon of choice would be her default weapon, which grants her +3 resistance and the ability to lower the first attack of range armor and cavalry units by 30% during combat. This weapon allows her to tank more efficiently and makes it harder for magic users to get through her immense resistance. For her assist, will not be running Sacrifice that came in her original kit because it does not suit her overall kit very well, especially since we'll be running Guard in this set. Instead, we'll be running Reposition or any other position-changing skills to help with positioning our allies better during a battle. For a special, we'll either be running Glacis or Iceberg to add a huge boost to our damage, since we have very high resistance. For A skill, Distant Defense is needed to help her tank Brave Berlin and Reinhardt. For B skill, Guard is preferred because it prevents Quick Impulse Reinhardt from killing her and prevents resistant ignoring specials from proccing. Her C skill is flexible, but her default C skill, Drive Attack, is great and helps offer an offensive boost to her team, so there's no reason not to run it. Per seal, we have to run Deflect Missile. Because of her weapon and Deflect Missile together, it allows a +0 Micaiah to be able to survive a +10 fully buffed Brave Berlin. Amazingly, a minus defense Micaiah is still able to survive Berlin as well using this kit. Surviving the attacks of Reinhardt and Brave Berlin is very crucial, because afterward, she's able to one-shot them both because of the bonus 50% damage boost she gets from her weapon. Moving on to the IVs, Micaiah ideally wants to have plus attack and minus speed. Having plus attack helps her one-shotting potential very much, so it's very good. Plus HP, plus defense, and plus resistance are still good because it helps her tank more efficiently, so it won't hurt her as much. Plus speed is pretty bad, because she already has such low speed that increasing her speed won't really help her. For a Bane, minus speed is good for the reason that she probably won't double anybody in the first place. Minus HP, minus defense, and minus resistance are okay only because of the fact she's still able to survive the damage outputs of a full force range cavalry attack already thanks to her kit, but I can't say for certain that she will be able to in the future. Lastly, minus attack is not good at all because it affects her one-shotting potential, which is basically her only damage output since she can't double. Okay, so now we can move on to what I see as her best set because it's versatile and can check more units because it's capable of tanking all magic damage and retaliate back very strongly. Her magic tank build. So to start off, of course, we will keep her base weapon for that sweet +3 resistance and the 30% decrease from the initial damage from range armor and cavalry units because of the sheer amount of bulk her weapon adds to her kit. Next for her assist, like usual, is flexible. However, I just prefer Swap for tanky units because it helps keep your team formation while engaging the enemy. But Reposition is still very viable. For a special, I prefer Iceberg over Glacis because I believe that Iceberg already packs enough power to kill her enemies, and with the lower cooldown she's able to proc at every fight during the enemy phase, unlike Glacis, since she is running Quick Riposte. With Iceberg having a cooldown of 3 during the enemy turn, it should go something like the enemy attacks bringing the cooldown to 2, Micaiah retaliates, bringing down the cooldown to 1, the enemy doubles her because of her low speed, which brings the cooldown to 0, and Micaiah is able to retaliate with Iceberg because she has Quick Riposte. This is essentially the core of this build. As long as the enemy doubles her and Micaiah keeps Quick Riposte, she will always be able to kill and tank every ranged magic user, which is why we're focusing on increasing her bulk. Her A skill will be Distance Defense since she will be tanking range units. A viable alternative would be Attack Resistance Bond, which will grant her +5 attack and +5 resistance as long as she's next to another ally. While that does increase the most important stat she needs, the condition of being next to an ally can be difficult in some situations. Distance defense is pretty unconditional and provides a little bit more increase in her bulk, which is why I chose distance defense over attack resistance bond. Next, her B skill will be quick riposte to allow her to double units, since her speed is low, as long as she's above 70% HP of course. Maintaining high HP should be relatively easy for this build since she'll be running 50 resistance when going against a mage opponent. As a result, most range units will be doing very minimal damage to her. And for her C skill, I believe attack ploy is the way to go. With her high resistance, activating this skill should be no problem. Hitting an enemy mage with an attack ploy would be really effective since it will make it even harder for them to get over her enormous 50 resistance. And finally, for her seal, we'll just run another distance defense to make her as bulky as possible. Last but not least, for our IVs, the best outcome will be having plus resistance and minus speed. Having plus resistance allows her to trigger her attack ploy much easier, makes her a better mage tank, and adds damage to her iceberg procs. Plus attack and plus HP are still good, but just not the best. But plus attack will help her increase her damage output, while plus HP helps her maintain quick riposte much easier. Plus defense and plus resistance doesn't really do much for the set though. For Banes, having minus speed is nice to allow enemies to double her and enable the 1-round iceberg procs, but having minus defense is also another optimal alternative. Minus attack and minus HP doesn't really hurt the set that much, so they are okay as well. Minus resistance just really hurts the set's purpose, so it's not that great. Once again, thanks guys for watching this video. Hopefully it was insightful. I'm still new to this, so I would appreciate any tips or comments to be left in the comment section below so I can read them later. Thank you!